Way back on October 18th, 2018, I made a video where I compared Wild Turkey Rare Breed and Russell's Reserve Single Barrel. It was kind of my first double bass episode. Well, since then, the bourbon market is getting more and more expensive, and one of my goals this year is to talk more about available bourbons and whiskeys that people are sleeping on, and also reviewing bottles that I reviewed a while back, and re-reviewing today's version. Re-reviewing. I don't think that's a word. So let's find out if my thoughts are still the same and we compare these two, and why I still think that these two bottles are two of the most important bourbons in the market today. Come right back. It's the first episode of Remashed right here on the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from the Mash and Drum, and welcome back to the show. Like, subscribe, and help me hit 100,000 subscribers for 2024. Now, like I said, Wild Turkey Rare Breed and Russell's Reserve Single Barrel have been two of my go-to bourbons for a very long time, and when I reviewed them back in 2018, the prices were a bit lower, the bottle designs were a bit different, and as palates change over time, maybe my palate was a bit different as well. So let's go back to 2018 and see exactly what I said about Russell's Reserve Single Barrel. First up, we have Russell's Reserve Single Barrel, which is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey that uses the classic Wild Turkey mash bill of 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley. And it's matured in heavy alligator char, new American oak barrels. Each of those honey barrels is then bottled at a beautiful 110 proof, and it's non-chill filtered to preserve maximum flavor. Like most single barrels though, each bottling may have slightly different characteristics, but with that said, Russell's Reserve is pretty consistent and delicious, and it's only around 40 to 50 bucks. Now, while most of what I said was true, today, as you can see, we have a new bottle design and also a new price point of about 65 bucks SRP compared to the $50 that it used to be. Also, today's single barrels are usually around 9 to 11 years old. All right, let's see what I said about Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Our next bottle up is Wild Turkey Rare Breed. This particular batch was released in spring 2017 and is one of my favorite Rare Breed bottles. As is always the case, the Kentucky straight bourbon is bottled at a cask strength, which varies from batch to batch. This one is offered at 116.8 proof. This bourbon also uses the classic Wild Turkey mash bill of that 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley, and is also non-chill filtered for a price around 45 to 50 bucks as well. So one correction there, and also an addition. One, Rare Breed is chill filtered, which I didn't know at the time. Also, something I didn't mention is Rare Breed is reportedly a blend of 6, 8, and 12-year-old barrel-proof bourbon, and today's price at SRP, you're looking at $50. I've been saying for a little bit that the Russell's Reserve single barrels lately have been absolutely fantastic. Obviously, we don't know where these warehouses, where these single barrels are coming from. Private selections, they tell you what warehouses they are from. For the shelfers, we don't. As far as Rare Breed, it's been 116.8 proof for, a long time now. And we do get different batches of it. Like I said, it's reportedly a blend of a few different ages. But let's compare these two, and if any of you are watching and were wondering what the differences really are between the two, well, let's find out. Again, 110 proof for the Russell Reserve Single Barrel, 116.8 for Rare Breed. Here we go. Start with the Rare Breed first. Rare Breed immediately gives me cinnamon and orange, vanilla cream, some good sweet oak there, not a ton of oak. We don't know the proportions of those ages going into the bottles. It's a very traditional amped up Wild Turkey profile, which I love. I'm glad that Rare Breed has, stayed pretty consistent over the last few years as I kept trying it and kept buying the bottles. All right, Russell Reserve Single Barrel. Now, from bottle to bottle, you will have more variation probably with the Russells, being that they are single barrel offerings. But this is one that I've been sipping on lately, and I'm really digging this barrel. So the biggest differences here that I find is with the Russell's Reserve Single Barrel, you're looking at a little bit more of, even though it's a lower proof, the nose and the flavors seem denser on the nose. They seem a little bit more concentrated. And like I said, these single barrels are normally anywhere from 8, 9, 10, up to 11 years old, I think, for some of them, but those are pretty few and far between. So 8 to 10 years, I think, is where they normally land. So this gets you into a little bit more of a vanilla extract type note, a little bit darker, a little bit deeper. I get some more brown sugar here. And I also get a little bit more oak presence. I don't get as much oak on the Rare Breed as I'm getting on the Russell Single Barrel. But yeah, that citrus is there. And I do think I'm getting a little bit of a cherry note too in the Russels, which is a typical note I do get in Russels sometimes. Man, the cinnamon on this is so heavy right now on the rare breed compared to the Russels. It is crazy. All right, let's try the rare breed first. Again, it's a lot of cinnamon and orange on the palate. That spice, that bite that it has, that proof point that it brings. Amazing finish here on the rare breed. But really, it's the cinnamon, orange, and the finish on it that really makes it stand out. That spice on the back end just lingers. Great finish on the rare breed. It's always been one of my favorite go-tos. Generally, when I do reviews and I, give you guys alternatives or recommendations, usually Wild Turkey Rare Breed is up there, especially if it's a high proof, something with a bigger age. And like I said, even though we don't know how much 12 years in here reportedly, there could be some, which kind of, evens the playing field out a little bit. But as far as flavors go, man. Yeah, Rare Breed is just such it starts turning into almost like a sweet tea type vibe, where you get that, again, that citrus mixed with that spice, a little bit herbal quality from the rye grain, and just an outstanding finish. So Rare Breed still holding up. This is the first time I've tried the new Rare Breed in this bottle shape, or this bottle design, I should say. And I actually really like how cinnamon forward it is. And I don't know if they're going for that in some of these batches, but this one, definitely I'm feeling it. All right, let's go to the Russel single barrel here, and let's go through some of the differences. So the Russell's Reserve immediately gives you less spice, but deeper, sweeter flavors. I feel like there's more depth to the Russell Reserve right off the bat. I feel like the Rare Breed is like a quick punch right into the palate, and you get this long lingering spice there. But the flavors on the palate don't linger as long as I feel like they do on the Russell Single Barrel. Now the Russell Single Barrel has a really interesting finish here, at least this barrel does, where it just kind of lingers on and on, but it's kind of a late finish. It doesn't really come in right away. Man, that vanilla, sweet cream, orange, a little bit of a dark fruit there. It's more layered. And I think this is kind of what I found when I reviewed these two bottles back in 2018. Rare Breed was the flavor hit right into the palate, but Russell's Reserve Single Barrel, even though it's only 110 proof versus 116.8, I feel like is more layered. It's a little bit richer in flavor. It's more viscous than I think the Rare Breed is. However, it's not as in your face as the Rare Breed, but it's got that sneaky lingering finish that actually just has some more depth to it, as the Rare Breed just has a lot more spice. Here are the major differences. When you talk about price, Russell's Reserve right now is about $65, even $70 sometimes. Rare Breed you could still find for about $50, so advantage, Rare Breed. When it comes to the nose, I'll give the nod to Russell's Reserve just because I feel like there's some more layered flavors to it. However, the Rare Breed does come in with a lot more cinnamon and a lot more citrus on the nose. However, I do like the depth of the Russell's Reserve, so I'll give the advantage to the Russell's Reserve on this one. When it comes to palate, I'm gonna go back to Russell's Reserve for this one. I like the viscosity of Russell's over Rare Breed. I like the depth of flavor. I like there's some extra flavors I feel like it has versus the Rare Breed. Again, Rare Breed is a quick punch to the palate. It's got a lot of good flavor. It's a little bit more cinnamon heavy. You get a quick burst of oak here, but this Russell Single Barrel, at least this one, has a lot more depth of flavor to it. I like the cherry, I like the orange. I love the palate on this one. When it comes to the finish, I think Russell's gave it a good run, but I think ultimately the Rare Breed has a longer, spicier finish that's gonna linger a little bit longer and just kind of give you that everlasting flavor that you want in a really good Wild Turkey product. As you can see, it's kind of a wash. However, for most folks, I think Rare Breed, given that the price point is a little bit cheaper, might win out. But it just goes to show you, I think these two bourbons are still two of the most important bottles that we're gonna have available on the shelf in today's market. And I don't know about you, but where I am here in Ohio, regular Russell's Reserve Single Barrel is available all the time. Then we have Rare Breed, which I think could be an even more important bottle, because Rare Breed, when people in this market are trying to chase Stag and they're trying to chase a Logic Quick barrel proof, and we're waiting online to try to get these bottles, Rare Breed seems to always be available, at least, like I said, at least here where I am. I travel all over the place looking for bourbon, and I usually always see Rare Breed sitting on the shelf. So you don't have to go very far to find these two bottles. And in a market today where people are waiting online and trying to get anything that they can allocated, it's just good to know that these two bottles are always there. This has been a great first episode for the Rematch series. Looking forward to more. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode as we look back to 2018, remashed it, re-reviewed it, and saw what those differences are for today's bourbon in 2024 for Russell's Reserve and Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that subscribe button below, and please hit that like button. If you haven't yet, find me on Instagram. Let me know down in the comments any other bourbons you would like me to maybe revisit that I've reviewed before, or even if it's a available whiskey I haven't reviewed yet. And like I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. Cheers. See you next time right here on the Mash and Drum. I'm gonna go with the Russells.